Good morning. Hopefully your Quick Hits meeting went really well, that your team is organized and headed in the right directions, that you've shared your expectations, you have made sure that everybody understands how they are contributing to the team today, and that you've made it an engaging Quick Hits meeting as well. I think those are some key elements, and that's really the purpose of the Quick Hits meeting. Come together, drive the property in the right direction. I want to take a few minutes this morning to talk to you a little bit about associate training, the importance of training, but also give you some ideas and some strategies to help you with your training. You are responsible for your associates, making sure that they are training and doing the things that they're supposed to be doing so that the guest experience is enhanced. So I just want to take just a minute and I can tell you a little bit about it. So let's go into the STAR pyramid. So we kind of talked about this earlier on day 1 and day 2. So I just want to remind you again, when your team isn't trained well, then what is the guest experience going to be? When that guest experience isn't up to par or doesn't meet your expectations, how do you think that affects your NPS and your social media? When your social media presence isn't where it should be, how do you think that affects your occupancy? Do you want to stay at a 3.0 or a 2.3 hotel? Your occupancy goes down. When your occupancy goes down, we have to have strategies to fill the hotel. So we have to do what? We have to lower the rate. When that rate is lower, what do you think that does to your profitability? It all stems down to training your associates, making sure that they understand your expectations, where you want to go, and then training them to meet those expectations. So training is really important. So to train our associates, there are some things that I would like and I recommend that you should know. First, make sure you understand who you are training. Albert Einstein said, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Everybody is individual and they are different, and they learn differently, they train differently, they have different abilities and different skill sets. Everyone is differently. So when you train your associates, don't think that, well, I trained so-and-so like this last time, I'm going to train so-and-so like this time, and it's going to be just as effective. Make sure you understand everybody is different, learns differently, and has different abilities. Some of those abilities are that they learned differently, auditory, read, write, tactical, visual. You understand that everybody learns a little differently. So when you go into training, besides individual preferences, make sure that you understand that everybody learns differently and that you need to accommodate that learning style. So teach to them the way that they want and need to be taught, not the way you like to learn. Also realize that we want to scaffold some things. We don't want to just teach one way. We don't want to hand them the associate handbook and say, hey, learn these, and then walk away, because not everybody wants to read, but also because not everybody's going to get everything that they need to the first time. So making sure that you show them how to read something. Here's the associate handbook. Then share with them, talk to them, and really make sure that they understand what you want to do. Show them how the policies in the associate handbook are applied. Then remind them, say to them, give them some discussion, have some discussions about the associate handbook, and then really apply those SOPs or those policies or to make it right, whatever it is. But making sure that you really scaffold those is going to be key to learning. Telling them once isn't going to do it. Making sure that they have it in 2 or 3 different ways and styles is going to be the best approach. Some things that examples that I wanted to share with you that are my personal recommendations. Allow others to lead. This is a picture of a team lead that I had, that I taught her how to do the Quick Hits meetings. I really gave her all of the information. The first couple of times wasn't so great, but by the end of the time that we were doing this, 3 or 4 months into it, she was really rocking it out. She did a really great job. She was engaging, and people liked to see her step up, and she enjoyed being able to have that responsibility. Make sure you have some fun with it. Make sure you play games. Do different things to training. Don't just make training boring and just say, here you go. Have some fun with it. Have some personality with it. Family Feud is something that we do here at the HSC with new GMs when they come to the HSC for training. It's fun, but when they answer questions, then it tells me that they learned it. When they don't answer questions, it tells me, hey, then we need to do it. So it is fun, but it also reveals a lot into it. Just like the QR code activity tells me a lot. Did we learn everything we're supposed to learn? We had a little bit of fun doing it. It's fun. You realize also that every activity and discussion that we do in the Google Classroom is something that you can do with your associates as well. So the acronyms can be an activity for your associates. QR codes can be an activity for your associates. And if you need some of those resources, definitely just email me. I have a QR code website that's free that you can use to create your own QR codes. You can also do crossword puzzles or word searches, and that's a really fun way to do it. And I have resources there too, free websites that will provide a Scrabble or whatever game that you want to play for free. It literally just creates it for you. You just put the right words in there. So please just reach out to me. Again, practice makes perfect. So again, getting their hands in there and really practicing things with some coaching is going to be crucial. Remind and accountability. A training board is going to be crucial into making sure that they understand your expectations. Things like the crossword puzzle that you see in that training board, I handed out on Monday. On Wednesday, we talked about it. And then throughout the week, I reminded them, hey, have you done the crossword puzzle? That's all about 5S. We want to talk about it. And it was a great conversation guide, but it was also fun. Together, making sure that you do things together is going to be really helpful as well, because they learn from their peers probably more than they learn from an instructor. So making sure they do things together is going to be key. And then the final one is purposeful. Make sure that you do things purposeful. Don't just have an activity to have an activity. Make sure that your activity ties into what you want them to learn. If you're going to talk about 5S, then have an organizational activity. So that way you can talk about how 5S really helps organize. So just really make sure that everything is purposeful, and reach out to resources like myself if you need help with making your training program effective. So again, just a couple things: gamification, training boards, training checklists. ESU has some training checklists. If you go to the tool on the right-hand side in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to find, if you go to GSR, you can hit the GSR and there's a training checklist. It's going to highlight the ESU. It's going to highlight some of the things that they do, but there's training checklists. Checklists are really good. Training kiosk, you do have your training kiosks at each hotel. Make sure you use those for your ESU. And then accountability. I want to just remind you that coaching is part of training. And we talked about tea time here yesterday. And I want to remind you again that coaching is part of your training, and that you need to have a purpose for your coaching. Finding the gap and the crack into meeting your expectations. Is there a gap there because they're not trained correctly, or not because they're executing in the way that you want them to, or is this an accountability conversation? So making sure that you realize that coaching is also part of training. And then also, I think one thing that I think is really key is making sure you do it in a timely manner. I call this the vanilla method. It's stop, collaborate, and listen. Yes, if I had some music, I'd be playing some music with you as well. It's the vanilla method. You're going to want to stop what you're doing. If you see something that's not meeting your expectations, stop what you're doing, collaborate, come together with that associate and talk about it. Actually listen, stop, collaborate, and listen. Listen to what they're saying. Ask them questions. Hey, so why aren't we meeting our expectations? And then figure out where the gap in the crack is. Is this a training issue? Is this an execution issue? Or are they just doing whatever they want to do? But we learned that from listening. So make sure that when you coach, you use the vanilla method, and that you stop, you collaborate, and you listen, figuring out where the gap in the crack is, and then training them on what you want them to do to meet the expectations. Again, I know I'm rambling on just a little bit, but I want you to understand that training your associates is imperative to running the property effectively, efficiently, and profitability. Making sure that they understand your expectations, and then you train them to meet those expectations. So over the next couple hours, I want you to think about that as you're going through your GM playbook, as you're going through your ESU classes, as you're really working with your associates on the processes, making sure that you understand that training is essential, and then how are you going to train your staff so that they're engaged and that they are excited about coming to work every single day. All right, I'll let you guys go. If you have any questions or concerns, please know that I'm here to support you 100%, and you guys have a great morning.